So good
Perfect.
afternoon, everyone. Boa tarde. Buenos dias, or good afternoon and bonjour. I think some French friend from Toronto or from Montreal. I'm here today with Eduardo Gaz, with the founder of Very Latin, our new DMC for Brazil. And Eduardo, maybe you want to introduce yourself and
Sure.
tell us more about who you are.
Sure. So, well, thank you, Dominic. It's the first time we're doing something for Very Latin officially, and it makes me really happy and really proud to be launching the company with you. This is something that it's going to be written in history. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you everyone for coming and learning a little bit more about our beautiful country today. And I'll tell you, I'm in the business, and I'm gonna actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk about it on the presentation because we may have all the answers to all your questions. So
Yeah, we can
let me
start the presentation.
sharing with you. I'm sure you can see the same screen that you see in the background of Dominique. So, what's that?
I love this picture, actually.
It's beautiful. It's a close up to the feathers of this bird called arara.
Oh.
So, this is of course a native Brazilian, and he's gonna invite you to see a little bit of the beauties of Brazil. It's a short video. Unfortunately, we cannot. We won't be able to reproduce the beautiful samba on the background, but I can explain all about it later.
We need to learn how to sing as well, huh? Eduardo.
That's the capoeira Rio.
Yeah, well, it's stunning. Huh? It's so much to offer Brazil.
It's beautiful, right? So talking a little bit about myself, I started in the business some 30 years ago where I started my first company, Ski Brazil. And then we moved forward. We started selections, Ski USA, TTW Lab. And the thing is, Dominique, while I was doing sales calls for Ski USA, that's a ski tour operator based in the US. Of course, people notice by my accent that I'm not American, and not only in the U.S. but also in Europe. I up front I'll say I'm Brazilian, and sometimes people would ask, okay, can you help me with this itinerary in Brazil? And we started doing it little by little, and suddenly it became a thing. So right before 20 we were supposed to launch the company in the second semester, the second half of 2020. For obvious reasons, we didn't. Now that hopefully the world normalized, we're picking up the project that we halted it for a minute and we started again. But what I'm trying to say here is, I mean, we've been in business forever. Many people know our companies, know me, and that was the natural next step on the evolution and development of the company, to start a DMC and to be able to showcase our beautiful country all over the world. So from TTW Group, we started Very Latin with a dedicated team, and we really love what we do, and we love our country. So we want to be able to do things a little bit different, and we want to be able to showcase Brazil from a very unique and different perspective. So a little bit about Brazil first, because people sometimes don't even know where we are, what we do, how we look like. And so Brazil it's the largest country in Latin America. We are about 200 million people. We speak Portuguese. We have over 4,500 miles of shoreline from north to south. And just for you to have an idea on size, we can fit 28 Italies inside Brazil. Basically, we could fit Europe the whole European continent twice inside Brazil. That's how large we are. With all sort of ecosystems, all, you know, we are the most biodiverse country in the planet with both fauna and flora. Um, you know, it's very unique, and I will show you just a video today. But there's, when I was showing this to Dominique before, she said, "Well, but you left this and this and this and this and this out." Yeah, but we, you know, otherwise we'll be here talking about Brazil the whole day. So the first thing that I think it's super important is that we're locals. So what does that mean? That means that we can leverage our personal connections and our personal relationships and our personal knowledge of the country to give your clients uh, access to a very unique and exclusive experience, you know, through crafted itineraries, through the guides that we have with us. And that allows us to go beyond the normal, the expected. Of course, we go to Rio and we go to Foz do Iguaçu and we visit the Amazon, but from a very different and unique perspective, that a very locals perspective. So that will work, of course, in your favor. And that also allows us to have access. As I said before, we always operate on a very high end of the market. So that also gives us access to very high-end experiences. So, you know, sometimes logistic can be somewhat complicated in Brazil. So we have access to private jets, helicopters. As I mentioned, 4,500 miles of shoreline. So we have access to a fleet of boats all over Brazil. We, again, we know the ins and outs. We know the best guides for each different experience and expectation from the guest. We've been doing it forever, so we really know how to leverage now those connections in our own country to better serve you. Another thing that is very important, and the same way that we do in Ski USA, we're 100% B2B, meaning our client are the travel agents. We're 100% focused on the travel agents. That allows us not only to refrain or to, you know, I mean, there's never any kind of where your client can have a quote from us. So there's never any sort of clash there. But also we know what you need to make, you know, the client's experience excellent. So it's from, you know, 24-hour customer service. We're very fast on the responses. We of course we commission you on everything, and we white label everything. So our brand will never touch your client. It's always going to be your brand. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more at the end, but I want to show you a little bit about the Brazilian wonders, and I'm going to do it in a geographic manner. I'm going to start in the north of Brazil with the Amazon, and then I'm going to start going down, and I'm going to finish in Foz do Iguaçu. And again, as I said before, I'm leaving so many things out. It really breaks my heart to have such limited time to show you my country, but you know, I'll do the best I can in this time. So this is a traffic jam. Actually, this is not the Amazon River. You know how we can tell, Dominic, because of this dark color? It's the Rio Negro. And what's great about the Rio Negro is that there are no mosquitoes, because the water is so acid because of all the leaves that are decomposing in the water, and all the minerals that are in the water, that there is no mosquitoes. So that's very, very good for the experience. So again, at each destination, I'm going to show you a little bit of what the activities may look like. And again, they're not just limited to that. It's just a few highlights for you to understand. So again, you're going to have access to the local population, and I mean, they're not prepared here to any ceremony or anything. They just, I mean, the guys that you see in the bottom right of the screen, they dress like that every day. So you're going to be able, through the river, to access that population and have one-on-one contact with them. When I say canoeing, it's beautiful because it's through the igarapés and to the igapós, and it varies a lot during the seasons when it's the dry season or the wet season. It's very different. So this place where this person is walking, it may be the exact same place in the bottom where they're canoeing in the bottom. It's totally crazy. And then, you know, when you go canoeing, not only you go canoeing, but you go fishing for piranhas. And then you can do it at night and do what they call the light focus, and you see all the forest at night because you see their eyes gleaming, and you get to see all the animals. But my favorite one is it's the pink dolphin, and it has a beautiful story behind it because the local folklore, it says that this animal, it's a mammal, of course. It's so pretty, it's beautiful that during the night it becomes a very handsome young man that walks out of the river, and he goes and he actually find girls to hang out with, and he can never take his hat off. Otherwise, the blowhole, everything, but the blowhole is still there, so he can never take his hat off. And many young ladies that end up pregnant, they blame it on the pink dolphin. And that's, I mean, that's a true story. I don't know if it's,
Oh, yeah,
that's have you heard it before?
Yes, I heard it, and I thought actually the pink dolphin didn't exist until I saw a picture of the pink dolphin.
Oh no, they do exist, and you get to see them. You see all of them, but again, you need to be aware of them at night, Dominique.
Oh,
so also I want to show a little bit of how the lodging looks like, because sometimes people have no idea what to expect, and especially in the Amazon. I mean, of course, there are places like Anavilhanas, Mirante do Gavião, and Cristalino Lodge. They are on the land, but again, always on the riverside, and you can always have a lot of activities are river centric. But then you also have the boats. I mean, the most beautiful one is the Aqua from our friend Francesco, and it's the Aqua Expeditions. They come down on the Amazon River on the Peruvian side. They don't come into Brazil, but there are also boats just like Aqua that do float on Brazil. Like for instance, Mirante do Gavião, they have their own boat. So you can combine like 2 days on land and 2 days on the boat. There's all sort of arrangements that you can do, and it's a very unique, amazing experience. So I'm coming down, and I'm leaving the Amazon now, and I'm going to the northeast of Brazil. I'm coming to Salvador. Salvador is the capital of the state of Bahia, and it was when the Portuguese they found land here in Brazil in the year 1500. The place that they arrived was very close to Salvador. So this was the first place to be inhabited by white people in South America, it said. And so it has a very rich culture, very linked to Africa, because all the slaves, unfortunately, back then were coming through Salvador to the sugarcane plantations in the countryside. So it became very culturally rich, even with different African religions like Candomblé and Ubanda that are beautiful to watch their ceremonies and everything. And at some point, back in the 1500s, Salvador was the capital of Brazil. Then it became Rio, then it became Brasilia in the mid of the 20th century. But again, Salvador is very rich in culture. So from the Olodum, and who never heard the Olodum, please put it on Spotify, Google it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The way they beat their drums, it's like intoxicating. And if there's even some songs from Paul Simon that he sings with Olodum, and they're to die for. I mean, go and and check that out because it's really amazing. But again, I mean, all the dances and the Carnival Museum, it's all dedicated to Carnival. It's a great time to be because people talk a lot about the Carnival in Rio. I personally prefer the Carnival in Salvador. It's what we call the street carnival. It's Carnaval de Rua. So it's when people are dancing on the street and behind, you know, this huge trucks with loudspeakers. It's different than the whole parade that happens in Rio. This is maybe a little bit more authentic. So Salvador is amazing. Again, just to give you a little bit, a few examples of lodging in Salvador. Fazano, it's a Fazano. Maybe you know Fazano from New York, but they started in Brazil. It's a very traditional family that it's in hospitality for over 100 years. First with restaurants and maybe 20 years ago they started their first hotel in São Paulo, and then they spread out throughout Brazil with some investors, and they have this beautiful property in Salvador as well as Fera Palace. Both of them with rooftops, with pool, with sea views, and it's really something to be experienced. Now, remember, 4,500 miles of coastline. So we picked one, and it was hard to pick, and we picked Trancoso. Trancoso, it's still in the shores of Bahia, the state of Bahia. It's near Salvador, maybe a 40-minute flight from Salvador. And it's like you see all the celebs and everyone going to Trancoso. You see on the upper right, this is the atmosphere. This is what it looks like. It's very rustic. People with barefoot going to have dinner at this little. These are little restaurants with little pousadas, with little lodges. And the atmosphere at this place at night with all the little lamps and little candles, and it's like it's really out of this world. It's something also to be experienced. Of course, this is in Caraíva where you see the fishermen here. This is as crowded as the beach gets. You see both on the upper left and bottom right. You see how crowded this is not on a weird Wednesday. This is probably on a Saturday or Sunday. There's literally you have a private beach because it's vast beach, and so and the lodges are so scattered that, or so small that even if they're all full, the beach is always going to look like that. Of course, from July to October, you get to see the whales, which is also quite spectacular. Again, Fazano is there, which is one of my favorites, and it's on the beach. Tutabel, it's another one that we like a lot. Estrela d'Água used to be the private residence of a very well-known singer in Brazil. It was turned into a posada, a small lodge, many years ago. And Ushua, where they have like little houses and little cottages for you to rent. These are our favorites in that region. But again, this is just one small region. We're talking here maybe 50 miles, again, of 4,500 of coastline. From the coastline of Brazil, we're going to go to the countryside, to the Pantanal. And Pantanal is it's our little own Africa. It's such a well-kept secret. It's also called the wetlands because during the wet season, it's all flooded. I mean, lots of it is flooded, and it changes the whole scenery and the whole fauna of the place. But it's really beautiful. I mean, and the amount of birds. This is paradise for any bird watcher. Pantanal is amazing. And again, you get think safari. Think a little bit of Africa. So you can go, by water. You can go by land sometimes. See, the pictures we're seeing are always related to water. As I said, there is a very extensive wet season. But there's so much to do in both seasons. So, you know, from horseback riding to fishing to just nothing, just looking up in the sky and seeing the most beautiful starry night that you always see, you ever seen. And this is, believe it or not, this is our favorite lodge there. It's called Cayman Lodge. It's again, out of this world. It's an old farmhouse turned into a lodge with all the amenities and all the comfort that you expect um, in for your clients. But imagine like just being here and getting your horse in the morning and going and you know on a horseback safari. It's again, it should be on anyone's bucket list. And of course, we couldn't come to Brazil and not talk about Rio. Rio is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's in the Bahia de Guanabara. It's the bay. So like a little bit like San Francisco, Sydney, you know, Vancouver. This whole bay setting, it's quite um, privileged. So of course you've seen the Cristo Redentor, the Christ the Redeemer on top of the Corcovado, and this is the view of Rio. It's really something. Again, the number Rio is a fairly large city, probably you know close to 8 million people live in Rio. What are you seeing here on the bottom right? This body of water. This is not the the ocean. This is the ocean. The lagoa is on the other side. But there's this inland lagoon that it's also um, inside, and it's again it's hard to pick and choose the right picture for Rio, and the experiences are I mean, you can choose whatever you want from the basics to, you know, visiting Christ the Redeemer or going up the tram to the Sugarloaf or participating on what is called the Roda de Samba. It's a samba circle where, you know, you get to participate with the locals. And again, this is not for tourists. These guys will sit here and will play regardless if there's anyone there or not. This is what they do in the afternoon um, to sailing through the Bahia de Guanabara. Rio, it's a must stop at least when you come to Brazil for the first time. We have amazing hotels to choose from in Rio. Fazano is here again, but there's also different ones like the Fairmont in Rio is a very good choice. Emiliano in Rio is also amazing. Emiliano is at Ipanema Beach, where of course there's the girl from Ipanema. Uh, the Copacabana Palace is in Copacabana Beach, a little bit different, but of course the hotel just turned 100 years old, and it's full of history. It's full of glamour. So tell you the truth, my favorite for that, and that's super personal. My favorite place in Rio is the Copacabana Palace. So just for the sheer history, you know something that they found when they were renovating, I mean, the hotel a few years back, not many, preparing to the 100th anniversary, they found this place that they thought was storage because it's been like that's where they've been throwing things for many years. And so they started digging, not digging like, but taking things out. And they found out it was a theater. It's a whole theater in Copacabana Palace that was forgotten there. So they of course redone it and renovated it and everything, and now they have shows that they use the theater for. It's beautiful. Now, coming down from Rio to São Paulo, there's probably another 300 miles with so many different little towns and so many different beaches for all. And one of my favorites is Paraty. Paraty is a UNESCO preserved site. And the reason for that is because for whatever reason, they were able to preserve it the way it was in the colonial times of Brazil when we were a colony from Portugal. So it's like traveling back in time. It's like going back to 1780 and the way, you know, the cobblestone, it's there, it's the same and everything. So this is a little bit of what Paraty looks like. It's by the sea, and it's in the region, which is the Bahia de Angra, Paraty, that there are over 360 little islands for people to go and explore and learn about. And again, on the bottom right, this is what Paraty looks like. And this is exactly what Paraty looked like in 1782. So it's quite amazing. You know why they have the streets like curved like that, Dominique?
No, I
It's
don't.
to avoid the pirates invasion. So if the pirates has a straight line of sign, they don't know what's it. So this way they could prepare for any pirate invasion. Because if you, let's say you're a pirate and you're walking in here, you would need to turn left, and then you find the whole town waiting for you. You can counterattack. So it's quite unique. Another thing that you see in this picture here, and I'm just noticing it now. You see on the corner where there is one corner that is different, and you see every corner is different. It has to do with the triangles of the masonry. So everything, there's some symbols and some meanings to every single thing and every single construction like they did back then. They, you know, they were very keen on those things. So, you know, you can't count how many nature walks through different trails you have in Paraty, always with where you're gonna find some waterfall or something that you're not expecting on those trails. It's beautiful. You get to visit the cachaça. Cachaça is the national liquor of Brazil. If you hear of caipirinha, it's very simple actually. It's lemon,
Cachaça.
sugar, and cachaça. That's the caipirinha. That's the traditional caipirinha. So cachaça is very, very alcoholic, like probably 40% alcohol, and that's what caipirinha is made of. It's our national liquor. If you put anything else, it's not caipirinha anymore. So if you put vodka, you can make it with vodka. It's not caipirinha anymore. It's caipirosca. Or you can put it with rum, and so it's not caipirosca, it's caipirissima. So there's all these variations of caipirinha depending on what you do. But if you want a traditional one, it's cachaça, lemon, and sugar. Also, you get to it's something that it's spectacular. It's to charter. I mean, of course, you can charter one of those 100-foot yachts from any Italian ship maker, whatever it's called, one of those azimuth or whatever. But this is the local. It's called the schooner. This is a good, like you have the gullets in Turkey, we have the schooners in Paraty. This is very, very local. So you get to sail around and visit the islands, and it's different because you get, especially on the weekends, you get to some points, some places where there are going to be literally dozens of boats, and they park or they moor side by side, and people go from one boat to the other, and now suddenly everyone becomes friends, and then you have a caipirinha on someone's boat, and you have something on somebody else's boat, and suddenly we're all friends. That's how we are. That's how Brazilians are. So again, small lodges here. And, these are a few of our favorites. No fazano here, but you have Casa Turquesa, you have Pousada do Sandy, you have Pousada Literária. So you have very nice options to stay in Paraty. If you decide to stay here for a couple of nights, you can also stay at the sea, at a charter boat. So there are a few options. And again, it's one of the magical places in Brazil, Paraty. It's quite unique. This is where I am now. This is São Paulo. So we're a city of 25 million people, huge megalopolis, and with everything. I mean, think Manhattan and then multiply it by maybe 6 or 7. That's the size of São Paulo. It's and you have, again, all sort of entertainments from you have from shopping, the the not only local brands. You can not only buy your Havaianas. Actually, there's a very beautiful Havaiana store with any Havaiana you can think of. Actually, I'll tell you something, Dominique. If you come see us at ILTM in Cannes, we have an Havaiana gift for everyone. But anyways, the not only your Havaiana, but you have also the major brands. We have all the Pradas and Gucci's and Versace's and everything, but there are many, many local brands like the one. Dominique, come on, show what you're wearing. This is Brazilian. I don't know if everyone caught that, but what I know that what Dominique is wearing is probably she bought in Rio or something.
Rio.
See, so you get and also the jewelry here is fantastic with the Brazilian stones, like the turmalinas, and I mean, there's so much to be seen. And I'm not even going to Minas Gerais. I'm not showing you Minas Gerais. It's something else. It's another chapter. So again, from a cultural scene with museums and orchestras, and as a matter of fact, this is a very beautiful museum we're seeing on the bottom, on the top right. It's the São Paulo Museum of Art. It's MASP, and we have. This is not for local painters, but we have all the Picassos and the Rembrandts and the whatever here. But also we have other museums for local artists that are quite unique. And also the gastronomy scene it's quite spectacular in São Paulo. We have a few Michelin star restaurants. We have some that leverage so well the local ingredients and have a very unique cuisine. Like Chef Alex Atala. And as a matter of fact, the restaurant we're seeing on the bottom right is one of the Fasano family restaurants. It's a restaurant called Gero. It's more Italian than anything else, but there's some.
I said it's delicious. I was there.
It is delicious. Gero is delicious. It's São Paulo is a gastronomical. There's some people say, especially people from São Paulo, say we're the gastronomic capital of the world. Again, as far as hotels, we have plenty to choose from. So again, Fasano, and actually Fasano, there are two. This is the new one in a more a residential neighborhood called Itaim. And from this, you can see in the picture here how vast São Paulo is. There's this neighborhood that's actually. You see there's the wall of buildings in the back, and then there's this whole residential neighborhood with no sky highs or skyscrapers. This is where I am right now. So my office in Brazil, it's among those trees that you see in the back of this swimming pool. We have 2 oases in the middle of the city, crazy places. Like you go to Palácio Tangará, part of Oetker collection, or you go to the Rosewood. The Rosewood it's the new kid on the block. It's to die for. We had our this week, and we need to thank the people from Rosewood. They hosted us so well. We had our partners dinner. We do it every year. We did it this year at Rosewood, and it was fantastic. I mean, and the hotel is so beautiful. They got this old textile plant. And so they got the whole region, and they're redoing the whole thing, and they're revamping. And so there's a residential component. There's the hotel. They're going to start shops. So it's going to be this whole. I don't want to call it a neighborhood, but it's this super block of very interesting, very design, very at the Rosewood. Take a look at this swimming pool. It's in the middle of São Paulo. right?
They're
And of
amazing.
course,
Have amazing
it's amazing.
restaurants, amazing restaurants. I remember also.
Oh, they do. They do have quite a few food and beverage outlets, and one is better than the other. I mean, they even have a kosher restaurant. I believe it's the only hotel in São Paulo with an ongoing. I mean, you don't need to make it kosher. It is always kosher. One of their restaurants. So it's very different. But again, the whole experience when you they're porte cochere, when you drive in with your car, it seems like you're out of Sao Paulo and you're at a different place, and they have this whole projection that will shame your feathers and my leaves because they have this whole jungle happening with animals going by. It's very different, and the also Palácio Tangará. It's in the middle of a park. We have in São Paulo where is it here in the bottom left? We have our local central park. It's called Ibirapuera. You see how we have many local names, like in Mexico, we have Ibirapuera. It's a very local name, and it's probably twice as large as Central Park. It's in the middle of the town, and people say it's where Paulistas they go to the beach on the weekends. But Palácio Tangará, it's at another park called Parque Burle Marx, and it's just this. Literally, it's a palace in the middle of a park. You feel like you're out of São Paulo for sure. So many Paulistas go, even though we're literally 10 minutes from here, people will still go there on the weekends if they cannot get out of São Paulo. But that's also something quite unique. We have many resort communities around São Paulo. Let's say 60 miles radius out of São Paulo with resort communities, with golf courses and everything, and some of them even have hotels. Again, one is Fazenda Boa Vista, where there is a Fazano hotel. So if somebody happened to be in São Paulo or around São Paulo on the weekend and wants to do something different, maybe it's here for work and want to do something different, going to Fazenda Boa Vista, staying at a Fazano is spectacular. And I'm going to finish with Foz do Iguaçu. And Foz do Iguaçu is still one of the modern day wonders of the world because of its falls. This falls, I mean, take a look at that. Can you imagine the roar?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. And again, it's not only about the falls and how you get to visit there. They have a beautiful birds park that you visit, and all the birds are free and they're flying around, and you see all the tucanos and you see all the araras and all the papagayos and all birds of all colors. You get to get real close to the waterfall if you go on this waterfall experience. It's called Macuco Safari, and you can even privatize that boat, and he literally goes behind the waterfall. It's this lunar rainbow. It's true, that happens every time there is some moon, and because of the mist of the fall, it forms a rainbow at night. So you get to see a rainbow at night, something that not a lot of people have experienced. And of course, the highlight is the waterfall, the Iguaçu Falls, and they have those catwalks that you get really. I mean, you're literally on top of the waterfall. Sometimes when there's too much water, they have to close it because the water goes over it. But it's also spectacular. And this is our favorite. I mean, that's our only recommendation here. It's the Belmont, the Cataratas Hotel. And not only it's a Belmont as the Copacabana Palace, not only, a Belmont level of service, not only a Belmont standards and everything, but it's the only hotel inside the national park. That means that on this catwalk here that you see maybe, 50 people here, once you're at Copacabana Palace, you don't need to wait for the park to open. Literally, if you want to walk at 2 a.m. out of your room and into the waterfall. I mean, not into the waterfall, but on those catwalks that go on top of the waterfall, you get to do it. But of course, you don't do it, but you do it in the morning. Like you wake up, because the park will open at 9, but you wake up at 8 and you get it, and you get that whole thing only for yourself. Only for yourself. And it's I mean, I mean, you get, I mean, I get the chills just talking about it. It's quite fantastic. Well, as I mentioned before, we want to help you sell Brazil, so we'll provide you again with all the tailor-made, all the quotes and proposals, and not only with your logo. We do everything white label, but we also provide you with content, being imagery, from webmails to Instagram, Facebook, whatever you need, we'll provide you with that, so you can promote our country, and eventually send us some clients. Again, we're always here to help you and to train you over webinars. I hope we have the opportunity to do it more often, Dominique, and I can show up maybe other places in Brazil. We're also doing trainings in person. We do that all the time, where we see here a very well-known professor in Brazil training our team about you see here in the case Copacabana Palace, telling all the story about Copacabana Palace. We love Belmont. We love both the Copacabana Palace and the hotel at Foz. It's called Hotel das Cataratas, because cataratas means waterfall. And again, and what we found out in the past years, and that's why we call ourselves very Latin, is that once people come from, let's say, Europe, or sometimes they want to go and visit our neighboring countries, and of course, through strategic partnerships, we can help with all that, and we can arrange not only trips to Brazil, but whenever Brazil is involved, we can also extend to Peru, and we have a great partner in Peru, right, Dominique?
Yes.
Or Argentina, or Uruguay, or sometimes even Mexico. So, of course, and there are all the FAMs that we're doing all the time, and now we're gonna start doing it. And if you want to come in a FAM to Brazil, please start bugging Dominic. She's gonna be holding the keys. She's gonna be the gatekeeper for this upcoming FAM.
Thank you.
And that's it. Again, thank you. We're gonna be at ILTM in Cannes. Where we go into the ride, those small tables, but they don't. I mean, that's what we can do. But we're gonna be there. Come and see us. I told you there's gonna be some little Havaianas.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, this is our contact. But of course, everything through Dominic. Whatever you need, you can always call Dominic, and she's gonna be able to help you and send whatever you need. We're here to help you and support you. So if you have any question, if you want to learn anything else, I mean, if I can't answer now, but please feel free. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write my personal email on the chat box.
Thank you very much. I see, Michael, you said, love it. Can't wait to try it out. Huh?
Great, Michael, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. I see that some questions were answered already, probably by...
Yeah,
it was you, Dominique. It was my...
Yes.
Was you?
I always do that.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
But thank you.
So, well, no, thank you.
It was a beautiful presentation. Can I say something? It's the first time I do a webinar with one of our DMC, and every single place you have shown, I've been there. And most of the hotels, especially all the city hotel, I have tried them all. So that makes me so happy to sell my country of adoption, Brazil. Voilà.
You're most welcome here. Dominic, I'm gonna give you I'll get you a Brazilian passport next time you're here.
We have a deal. Voilà, but
Thank you all very much. No, thank you.
Believing in Very Latin, in Eduardo and his team, and believing that Brazil could definitely be a destination to offer more to your clients.
Especially, Dominic, I think it's something that we mentioned before, but especially during this crazy time where people get afraid to, go some places that they may. I mean, here in Brazil, thank God, I mean, we're still very safe. If you, of course, if you know where you're going, and we know where you're going, we know where you can go, we know where we can take you. You're very safe in Brazil for all this madness that is unfortunately happening in the world out there.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. I see Lilian.
Thank you very much, Dominic.
Lilian, thank you for your little notes. Thank you for the great webinar. So we have more to show, because I told Eduardo, oh, we have not seen this one and this and Ouro Preto and this and Porto Alegre. There is so much more. So let's be ready. Very Latin Part 2 webinar very soon. All right. And
whenever you want. Thank you.
At LTM.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anouk. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.